Hello YouTube. I'd make a Harvey Birdman joke, but I haven't watched the show, so I can't make that joke. I actually have no jokes for this intro. But we're going to be talking about Llyud from Final Fantasy XII Revenant Wings. I am saying his name correctly, so deal with it. In this video, before you pull on Llyud, I'll go over his kit, give you some things to think about before you use your limited resources. If you're not familiar with my channel, I play both JP and Global, and I use that experience and knowledge and some research to form my opinions. I want to hear what y'all are thinking, so go down in the comments, let me know what you're thinking about the event and the banner, and while you're here, consider subscribing, liking the video, becoming a member. $1, I always reply to your comments, and you get custom emotes, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a video. The projected banner is Zell getting his level 90 in a slight rework, along with Llyud and then Omnia's EX. I'll talk about Zell very briefly. His LD board rework is very slight, some slight attack up, overflow, and self-brave gains up. With his 90, his EX now does more HP attacks, and the special Brave and HP attacks he gets after using his EX got buffed. They're now in line with his actual skills. His EX also got a recast up, so he'll be using it a bit more. That's it. Nice facelift for his overall kit and damage. So now for the meat of this video, we are going to be talking about the new character, Llyud. He's got a lot going for him. He can charge the party's EX and charge his own on demand. He can burst heal the party while also providing HP regen. He has massive auras, 140 attack, HP and brave damage up 40%, and he can battery the party as well. He juggles his own HP in order to provide these buffs. Skill 1, he drains his own HP and batteries the party after the attack. Skill 2 is one of his buff skills that does 100% AoE attack and heals himself. This skill 2 buff also allows him to recover up to 10% HP after attacking. His EX is what really ties his kit together. Provided he's fully maxed, he will start the quest with his EX up, and he'll start with 2 out of 5 stacks of this EX buff. The attack itself is a triple brave plus HP with splash. It heals the party and overheals are converted to brave. After using his EX, everyone else in the party's EX gets charged, and he gets a free skill afterwards. This buff is where most of his party auras are coming from, provided this buff is fully maxed out at 5 stacks and you max it again by using EX. He's providing 100% attack up, 35% stolen brave, and 30% HP damage up to the party. And you can free skill into whatever you want, but it's probably better to just keep the additional ability up afterwards, just for the caps and extra attack. And his LD puts a nice ribbon on top of his entire kit. He drains half of his HP, batteries and heals the party, and does a couple AoE brave plus HPs. The buff here rounds out the rest of his party auras, providing more overflows, 40% brave damage, and 10% HP damage. So adding up all of his party buffs, again, I said this earlier, but 140 attack, overflow 55, gained overflow 20, HP damage 40, brave damage 40, and HP regen 10. He also gets a last stand from this buff, so even if you're playing around with his HP a lot, he can take a hit and survive it. He'll drop to 1% provided his HP was above 50%. The really big thing about his LD though is that it charges his own EX. So if you're planning a couple turns ahead, you can LD and use his EX, and his EX will charge everyone else's EX. His EX normally takes about 3 skills to charge, I believe, or you can just charge it at your own discretion really. Plan around how you want to play. So how do you play Llyud? I hate how his name's said. So many things that are going to get taken out of context. And they're not funny. Well, you use the EX to start, obviously, because it's up, and that'll be a functional 3 stacks from the beginning. Free skills should probably go on the additional ability, unless you really need them for some reason, the actual skills. Ideally, you'll get his stacks to max as soon as possible, because if you're not pressing LD early on to get them up there, it's going to take a bit longer, as his EX does take 3 skills. Maybe if you bring like Selfie or something, it goes down to 2 skills, I don't know, or maybe mess with his speed passives. Also, Shulk's LD call can charge his EX if you want another bout of that, so if you picked up Shulk way back, her call has this very interesting use. There's diminishing returns on all of his buffs, and they're probably going to be overkill, especially in C90 era, and I'll touch on this more in my analysis, but if you want to rush to get the auras off the bat, go ahead. Otherwise, just hold your EX and make sure you're not charging the other teammates' EXs when they already have them up. Otherwise, battery the party, heal yourself, heal the party as you need it. Don't let buffs fall off, which is harder than it looks, trust me. I know. So for my analysis, Llyud's strengths are his BT level auras. 140 attack, 40 brave and HP damage. He's already looking better than Golbez. Sorry, Blart. He will make pretty much anyone hit hard, and he can probably just solo support his way out of things. God forbid you double support, like some people are allergic to, and pretty much your DPS will be doing nukes. He's got everything you probably want: battery, HP regen, burst heals, and charging the party's EX. If you can really take advantage of that, it is amazing. EXs are only going to continue getting better throughout the C90 era, and Llyud can help front load your damage or really control when those EXs go off. Weaknesses, I gotta bring up the ramp up. He's not at full capacity, and you need 2 of his EXs to go off before you can be at full capacity, which can take some time, as like I said, it takes 3 skills to charge his EX, as in use EX, 1 turn, 2 turn, 3 turns, and his EX will be back again. And you could pair him with Selfie, theoretically, but then that's 2 party slots you're taking up for what purpose? Orbs are still a thing, even if fights roll over. Additionally, I mentioned earlier, there's diminishing returns on all of his aura buffs. Because characters are becoming so self-sufficient and getting such strong self-buffs in the C90 era, his buffs sound better on paper than they are in practice. Because if you are pitting him up against actual BT level auras, what advantage does he provide over them? Possibly the heals and the EX charges, really, at the end of the day. I am of the firm opinion that his numbers are complete overkill, and if you're not pairing him with people who can take advantage of the EX buff, or the EX recharge, then he's just a regular aura bot, and I don't think he stands out all that much, honestly. He is truly a bad Theorycrafters wet dream in terms of numbers. I've seen so many people over the months jerking off his numbers on Discord. Look at all these numbers. 140% attack up really rustles people's loins alongside 40% brave and HP damage, and don't get me wrong, those are good numbers, but in the context of C90 era where characters get so self-sufficient and the fights are the easiest they've ever been, his stats are really, in my opinion, complete overkill. The entire character is. Suffering from circumstance. Potential teams, he'd shine in with people who really lean on their EX. So Noel's a great pairing. It makes sense that there's synergy together. Strago in a month or so. People are going to see Strago's EX and go, "What wasn't he in the middle of your trio?" Strago's got a ridiculous EX. Queen, so she can stay in Berserk mode. Selfie, I don't know for sure how that team would play out. Helping out his recast, and maybe you'd have better aura uptime. I don't know about that one, so leave that on the table. But ultimately, he's an aura bot, so he will pretty much work with anyone. He can be explicitly useful in Transcendent 7 middle, or Reckoning, I should say, where you need to heal with the skill, but that stage rolls over. And on the Kefka fight, where you need 5 stacks of a buff. Otherwise, he's not really shining anywhere, I don't think. So what are my plans? Skip. I used this man once, and he was complete overkill for the era. I didn't run him with Noel because I didn't really need to because content was so easy. He could have a theoretical 100% uptime while Noel's BT is up if you juggle his EXs and playing your turns correctly, but I didn't want to blue him. I just wasn't about it. His kit, it kind of got boring after I used him in his event. There were way more newer toys, and again, his stats really are just overkill. I got Zell on this banner in JP2 because I didn't have him. It's like, oh, I had nothing on this banner, so I'm like, let's go in for it. Didn't blue Zell, didn't invest in him, so he was benched too. So there's nothing on this banner that interests me. I don't have Zell's LD, so nah. The event is a reskin of the Gabronth boss, the headless weirdos. Not a very challenging fight, but it is a little bit trickier than the Queen fight, but then again, everything is. The orb is plus 10 if you take damage. The orb is plus 10 with a max of 10 if you damage yourself and or the party, or you take HP damage from the bosses. So characters that hurt themselves are going to be better for maintaining the orb, as you can't realize. The bosses might have a pattern, but if you want to guarantee the orb stays up, then you need someone that hurts themselves. Vivi, Dark Cecil, Galuf, Renoa, if you can manage to carry Jack somehow with his decrepit kit. Arden's LD, Queen's EX, Sayador's buffs falling off, or just use Llyud. Keep in mind though, if you use Galuf, he will not take damage from their attacks, so you'll need to rely on the AoE, and he'll be dodging everything. But after Galuf's turns, because his HP drops after he acts while his LD buff is up, that'll tick the orb. Inflict a stacking debuff on you. That's not a big deal until it's to 4 and 5 stacks, in which it's a speed down and an HP poison, which isn't the worst thing in the world. HP requirement is 10k, so just watch out for that. They do an AoE split, Brave plus HP on you. Really, if you bring enough mitigation / heals, these bosses are not dangerous at all, and it's not asking for a lot of mitigation either, to be honest. But later in the fight, they do delay you with this attack, so maybe just bring a tank and shrug it off, or HP damage mitigation, pain, Porum. You have a lot of those nowadays. Otherwise, just manage the orb and you're fine. I think Vivi's call will be able to hit the orb, that is. LD call. Noah Haber's tell Mark. She might actually contribute to a fight for once. This fight ain't bad at all. I think I'm gonna bring Queen just because I want to use her once before I forget about her. Give her this 1 out of 5 ultimate weapon sword I've been using. And then maybe Snow and Lena so I don't have to deal with the debuff they put on us. Or maybe Snow and Pain, I don't know. Probably Lena to raise Queen's HP cap so she can do more damage and end the fight more quickly. This fight is not stressful in the slightest. So before you pull, what's my advice on this banner? This is purely from a meta, resource optimizing perspective. If you know what you're gonna do, by all means, don't let me stop you. Let me just give you some things to think about. I think a majority of the player base is fine and better off skipping Llyud. Like for real, those numbers sound really good on paper, and again, they're the Theorycrafters' wet dream, but in practice, such overkill. If you've been playing for a bit, you already have decent supports. If you're interested in Llyud, I would solely focus on the EX charging and whether you're going to run characters who can benefit off of that, and if you're going to run them frequently. So again, like Queen, Noel, him and Noel are best friends. You can weave some extra EXs in between Noel's downtime on his off BT turns when his EX isn't up, and that's a lot more damage. Strago, again, Strago's EX is such big damage, 8 HP attacks per target, and having that up more often with Llyud is hilarious. But if you're not running one of these big EX characters, then nah, I don't think he's it. There's probably more combinations that I'm not thinking of, and if it sounds appealing to you, go for it. But I think this is a large case of a lot of numbers that people can't put into context sounding better than they are. I can't even recommend people who are struggling with content to get him. Lock is theoretically right around the corner. And the last thing I'd throw at someone who sucks at the game is this character who has to juggle buffs and HP and all that stuff and EXs. Just get Lock, bro. So yeah, if you're undecided, if you're not a haver of someone who can abuse EXs and can't think of anyone you'd run them with for that purpose, I just keep it moving. Content doesn't demand his level of buffs. There's just insane diminishing returns, and you all are probably going to be investing in Green Ramza, at least for meta purposes. I doubt most of the player base would get much use out of Llyud, and those people that are going to have already decided, so I'm not talking to them. Oh, and I completely forgot about Zell. I wouldn't pull for Zell at this point unless you're going to fully blue and invest in Ultimate Weapon. That's my rule for all DPS going forward. If you're not going to fully invest, don't do it. He can put in work, but if you go halfway, then it's not going to feel good, and you're going to bench him regardless. So yeah, keep saving, just build up your resources, like me. Road to 1,000,000 gems, baby. But that's all I got. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Again, like the video, hit the notification bell, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Check out my other content. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.